Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and finally, we're kicking off. I don't know when I'm actually going to start reading these things, but we're kicking it off at least. So last year, one of my favorite vlogs that I posted was reading the best books so far of 2023 according to Goodreads, and we're back. It's appeared. It was earlier than I was expecting. It came out like mid to late June last year, I think, but now it's here early. So we're gonna look at it. We're gonna get like the first little inspection and plan out the TBR. So I have a few things that I think might be on this, obviously, and I'll talk about them when we get there. Fingers crossed for some good books. I don't think I've been keeping up with nearly as many 2024 releases that are like popular and like really big, so we'll see how I've done. So the first section here, it looks different than last year. Last year it was more like paneled, whereas this is just like a list. So, you know, whatever. Okay, so we've got contemporary and historical fiction first. We've got The Woman by Kirsten Hanna, super popular author, never read anything from them. James by Percival Everett. Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. Anita de Monte Laughs Last. Martyr. I've seen Martyr a lot. Author and poet Kaveh Akbar has delivered one of the year's surprise sensations with this deeply personal novel about an orphan young man obsessed with the concept of martyrs. Cyrus Shams, son of an Iranian immigrant, is a recovering addict and alcoholic. In his spiritual quest for serenity, he uncovers some rather astonishing family secrets. Interesting. And then the last one is The Storm We Made by Vanessa Chan. If you didn't watch 2023's video of this, I read Wayward. Didn't like it. I had a really hard time liking books out of my, comfort zone. All of these feel very heavy, which is fine, but I'm not really like a war girly. I don't, just like, if the Vietnam War is not handled correctly or carefully, I'm going to be very disinterested. I don't like generational fiction. It's not something that interests me. I don't really like following families, although I think like it is interesting. I just doesn't tickle my fancy quite too much. Anita de Monte Laughs Last uses two parallel timelines to toggle between the perspectives of two remarkable women. Anita, a rising New York City art star, is found dead in 1985. Raquel, the third-year art history student in 1998, finds some disturbing details about Anita's death as their stories converge. Author Gonzalez explores uncomfortable questions about art, history, and remembrance. That sounds like the best one. I think that's probably going to be the pick. I think that one I can have the most interest in. Okay, ooh, interesting. Mystery and thrillers. I refuse to read Frida McFadden. Sorry, I said it. I'm not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. But First Lie Wins, I do have on my TBR and was actually hoping to read for Summerween. Oh, that might be it. Listen for the Lie, I've heard good things about. Home is Where the Bodies Are, I've read. I thought it was alright. I know that some people really, really love it though. It's a safe thriller. It's domestic, small cast, fun. And then we've got How to Solve Your Own Murder, which I've heard a lot about, but definitely leans more mystery than thriller. And I don't like cozies, so not that. The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. Last Murder at the End of the World, and One Perfect Cover. Oh my god, and Darling Girls. So many. So The Heiress is also one that like I was interested in, but not enough. I love Ruth Ware. Hit or miss though. And I don't know if I'm gonna pick that, but I think I have to go with top of the list. Top of the list in my brain means number one place. So if I can read that with an interest, great. And First Lie Wins is that, which I have. Okay, fantasy. This is where it gets interesting. Okay, the first one is The Familiars by Leigh Bardugo. To no surprise, this shouldn't be surprising. I have it. I will probably read it. It's about like the Spanish Inquisition, and it's set in Madrid with like this Jewish suddenly gone very fantasy, Jewish maid who has like a bit of magic in her, but not like a crazy amount of magic. It's very like chill magic. But I've heard pretty like alright things. People like it. I know there's a romance in it. Emily Wilde's book 2 makes sense. The Book of Doors. It's so funny when like I put something on my list that I want to read and I completely forget it exists. Fantasy readers who appreciate books about books have evidently discovered a lot to like about his debut novel, from Scottish author Gareth Brown. Okay, and then we've got The Tainted Cup, which I've heard so much about. The Warm Hands of Ghosts, I also have that. I haven't heard anyone really talk about it though. And then A Short Walk Through a Wide World. For this, I'm probably going to go with The Familiar. I own it, and it's probably one of the more hyped books that I've seen. It's not one that necessarily like super excites me, but at the same time, like I gotta check it out. So that'll be that. Okay, romantasy. I'm not reading Sarah J. Maas, obviously. I haven't read the first 2 Crescent Cities, but it makes sense. This had a really huge hype right at the beginning of the year, coming out in January. Makes sense. Everyone was very excited for it. I've heard a lot of mixed things. People really like the second half. Then we've got A Fate Inked in Blood, which I read. A Touch of Chaos is, I think, the 3rd book. Fourth installment, so I won't be reading that. Oh my god, there's only 4? Interesting choice. That's so small. I guess I will be reading When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, which has gotten a lot of mixed reviews as well. People either really love it or really hate it. So I'll be intrigued to see where I land. A lot of reviewers and friends that I trust did not like the writing style, so we'll see. Okay, sci-fi novels is where my interest is a little more piqued, and I was expecting these. So Annie bought. Allie Do Is Read read it and loved it and raved about it, so it's been on my radar ever since. And I've only seen pretty like positive reviews. It's about like a sex robot and something. And I've also seen The Ministry of Time be pretty enjoyed. It's a romance primarily, or lightly, I'm not sure, but I know there's romance. Baby X, haven't heard about that one. I cheerfully refuse. I like that cover, but again, I haven't heard. I'm not a big sci-fi reader. Last year's sci-fi pick was bad. The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard, and the last one is Beautyland by Marie Helen Bertino, which I've also seen from Allie's channel. So that one's also like second place if need be, but I'm definitely gonna pick up Annie Bot because, of course, I gotta know. Okay, horror. Oh, this is where I'm hoping I've done some good, but I don't know if I have. First we have Murder Road by Simone St. James. Haven't read it, won't read it for a while. Do own it. I saw Katie Coulson's very long vlog on it, where she read it, and you know, I know too much about it. So I gotta give space before I pick it up and forget everything. So I won't be reading that. But in second place is My Darling Dreadful Thing, which I've really been wanting to pick up. So winner, winner, great for me. I'm really excited for it. The cover is beautiful and stunning. I'm very excited. Classic gothic tale wrapped around a unique queer love story. Long dead ghostly companion Ruth. Oh, fun. Okay, very excited for that. And then following that, we've got Indian Burial Ground. I just read Sisters of the Lost Nation for the Literally Dead Book Club, and I know that this one follows a character in that book, but not like it's kind of a companion because it's set in the same world and everything, but not marketed as connected. Don't know if I'll pick it up. I thought Sisters of the Lost Nation was a good message and had strong impact, but like throughout the story it just did not really pique my interest and I wasn't like super engaged. Next we've got Diavola. I don't remember how you pronounce it. It's Italian and I should know because I took Italian, but it's fine. Read that, fun. Did a book club live show on the Library Dwellers channel to talk about it when I was sick, and it was a great time. And then we've got the third book in the Sisters Indian Lake trilogy. Hi, sweetie. Which I still need to read the sequel to My Heart Is Chainsaw before I can read the third one, so fun. Romance, of course. I knew this was gonna happen. I've got it already on hold. I'm waiting. Actually, I got it and then I like pushed it because I wanted to wait for this video to properly read it, but funny story right on top. Last year I read my first Emily Henry, which was Happy Place, because of same video concept. So I'm very excited to read Funny Story. I've heard pretty positive reviews for the most part, and I did enjoy Happy Place because it touched me at the time. And then next we of course got Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. My thing is this is the third book in like a series. Is it Yours Truly, Part of Your World series? I don't know what you call them. And everyone said that you should read them in order, but the second book has like a trope I know I don't like and don't want to read. And also I don't have an interest in the other two quite as much as I have in this one. So I don't know, I was gonna read it. Now I don't think I will. Then we got Bride, which I've read and was fun. Fangirl Down, the rule book I've seen around, heard good things. This Summer Will Be Different. Haven't heard about that. The Paradise Problem, Christina Lauren staple in romance, of course. And then A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. This is the same author who wrote, 7 Days in June, which I haven't read, but I've heard great things for the most part. Some of my friends didn't like it, so I've been kind of hesitant, especially because I'm not a big romance reader. But Funny Story, right at the top. I'm solid, even though it just came out like, what, a month ago maybe? Okay, and then we've got Young Adult. If Only I Had Told Her. Goodreads YA fans were clearly hungry for the latest novel from the author Laura Nolan, which serves as a kind of companion piece to her 2023 tragedy, If He Had Been With Me. This time the story is structured around the presentation of 3 parallel POVs, with expanded backstories and other details from Finn, Jack, and Autumn. New readers, don't worry, this book is also designed to work as a standalone story. That's tricky, because I don't feel like I would get much out of it, seeing as I haven't read the original. But it's a contender. I feel like that's a lot of nostalgia readers picking it up. And then we've got the reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. This is their new release. I know maybe too much about it. Like I know the spoilers, so I will probably pass on this just because like I know what happens and I don't feel like I'm gonna get as much enjoyment or shock out of it because of it. But then the Prisoner of Thrones sequel to the duology, the conclusion, so can't read that because I haven't continued yet. A Tempest of Tea, no thank you. Where Sleeping Girls Lie, something I'm interested in and makes sense to read. This is the author of Ace of Spades and their new release, Dark Academia Boarding School Academy situation. Perfect for me, what I want. I'm excited for that. So I will be picking that up, which is cool. And then nonfiction, The Age of Magical Overthinking, Notes on Modern Irrationality. That's probably what I'll pick up unless something else snags at me. A Sociopath, a Memoir, Super Communicators, Knife Meditations After an Attempted Murder. Wow, okay. The Side of the River, Reef is for People, The House of Hidden Meanings by RuPaul, The Demon of Unrest, I can read. Dramatic Moments in History, One in a Millennial, Slow Productivity, and The Anxious Generation. Okay, interesting. Nonfiction's not typically my bread and butter. I do have a few that I want to get to, but I do think most, if not all, are backlists, so I probably, they obviously wouldn't be on this list, but I guess I'll pick up the Age of Magical Overthinking, Notes on Modern Irrationality. So that'll be fun. Now we've got a TBR, and now I can put these things on hold, listen to them, review them, chat with you guys about what the masses on Goodreads think. So cool. I'll probably start with the First Lie Wins or Funny Story, because those are probably the two most intrigued in. Hi, I need to just talk about my 12% in check-in, which is not normal, but I just need to talk about it. So I started Funny Story by Emily Henry, babies, like 30 minutes before leaving in the car ride home. So not far, not long. I've cackled out loud so many times. It is so outlandish and hilarious, and I'm loving it. Like, very first impressions, I was like, okay, yeah, Miles is a little bit pathetic, but like also, you know, when you're going through heartbreak, you're a different person. And I thought Daphne was gonna be insufferable. I was really worried about like how she was coming across at first. And then like we finally get the Miles and Daphne connection, like their first time talking to each other, their moment together, and it's so good. It's so good. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I think this is just something I really needed. Romance, so hit or miss for me. Emily Henry has not let me down yet. Happy Place was definitely heavier, and really related to something that I was dealing with and going through. So, like, I had a different kind of emotion to it. This has just been funny and outlandish and fun, and I'm enjoying my time because, like, when would this happen? I don't know, but it's lovely. So that's my little check-in. I'm having a really good time. I'm loving these characters so much more now that I'm seeing them together and, like, getting their interactions with one another. Obviously, like, they're both going through heartbreak. They've got, like, that, it's not really a rebound, but it's like a fun fake dating friendship. I'm just really enjoying this. Premise is we've got Daphne as our main character, our protagonist, and she has just been dumped by her fiance, who got together with his childhood best friend, and they are getting married. They've been together for a few months, and now they're gonna get married, and Daphne needed a place to go, so she moved in with Miles, and they kind of just dealt with a breakup together, but, like, also completely apart and separated from each other. And now they've gone out on the town, had a good old time, RSVP to the wedding. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I hate Peter, and this is just giving me joy. So after all the heavy reads, this is what I needed. Hey guys, whoopsie daisies. It's Summerween. That's happened, and so I wasn't really, like, planning to film for this video, but I actually did finish funny story. It's a funny story. I finished Funny Story last night. I absolutely totally forgot to update you guys, tell you guys that, like, I was reading it for a vlog. Like, I just finished the last 2/3 without saying a freaking word to you guys. I'm so sorry, but I loved it. I loved it so much. Here's the thing. Emily Henry knows my weak spots, and she exploits them every time. I've only read 2 of her books. Her more recent, I've read Happy Place, which was 4 stars, and Funny Story, which I'm giving 5 stars. I really need to read her backlist at this point because I don't love contemporary romance. It's not my favorite. I often am bored, it's cringy, whatever. This one was so fun. I love the narrator. It was so engaging. I love these characters. It's kind of a little bit small town-ish vibes, but I love Daphne being a librarian. So Daphne being a librarian, we're actively seeing the library. She shouts out to Miles that, like, audiobooks do count as reading because he is dyslexic, which I'm also dyslexic, so it's really nice that having just, like, somebody say it in books, it's just, it makes you feel good. Nobody, when I was growing up, told me audiobooks really weren't what they are now. So I didn't know they existed back then, but nobody really told me, like, Sam, it's okay if you can't read fast. It's okay if you're not good at it. You can still do it. But I was very discouraged for a lot of my life. And so it was very, like, it was nice to see that journey for Miles of him, like, having those conversations. I loved seeing just the library be utilized in general, and, like, the conversations, the readathon. It was all just very cute. Daphne has some father issues with, like, abandonment and just, like, her own worth as a person and never feeling good enough, and I just, yeah, me too. That hurts. It's not fun. So I really related to that. I did actually cry a little bit when Daphne was on the phone with her mom talking about, like, her experience with her dad and everything, and I was just like, and her just, Daphne telling her mom how wonderful her mom is truly just made me want to cry and sob, because me and my mom are very close and we have a relationship like that, and it was just, that one hurt me. That hurt me really bad. Also, the funniest thing happened. I listened to Funny Story on audiobook, and I was loving these characters, loving, like, the banter, the storyline, just everything about it was so fun that when we got to the inevitable 3rd act conflict, where, like, they have to part ways for whatever reason and things are tearing them apart, and then they come back together in the finale, as all romance books do, there was, like, a pit in my stomach. I was so, like, nervous and scared, like, the anxiety of, like, when somebody texts you, like, we need to talk, like, that just anxiety pit in my stomach while, like, listening to those. I was like, I'm not well. I can't be here. So yeah, I truly love this. It's not like a strong 5 high, what? What was I saying? It's not a strong 5 stars, like best books of the year, top of the list, but it's definitely like, I really enjoyed everything about this. I didn't have any issues with it. I really liked all the characters. I really liked the storyline. Everything about it just really worked for me. So it's not like, it can't not be a 5-star, even if it doesn't give me the same like obsession feelings. But I was definitely like eager to pick it back up constantly. So overall, I think this is like a huge, massive win. I read Emily Henry last year for the same video concept, and that was like a pretty successful win, and it's getting better. I know that this is not everyone's favorite because they don't like Miles because he's like pathetic, and I think he was just grieving a relationship that he was in and was just like going through it at the beginning. But I really liked him. I would love to date a Miles. I happy danced because he's a cat guy. Like, he wanted to get a cat, which, as a girl who is allergic to cats, Daphne, you can get a cat. Like, you'll be fine. Take some Claritin, you'll get used to the cat. It'll be fine. Don't crush his dreams. Anyway, I really liked it. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. So good. It was so good. The next book that I'm going to be reading for this, actually, wow. And I will be reading my thriller pick, which is going to be First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This came out January 2024, and it's said to be one of the best, apparently, of this year. So I'm very intrigued and excited. I am assuming it's a home invasion, but I have no idea. I don't know anything about this. I will let you guys know. I will let you guys know. Words are not sounding like words anymore. I'll let you guys know when I get to the 50-ish% mark, or my first thoughts, once I pick it up. But yes, Funny Store was very good. Very good! Ah! Hello, I have just finished. I know, I didn't do like the dish check-ins. I listened to it mostly today at work, and I just finished it when I got home. But today I listened to My Darling Dreadful Thing by, I believe, Joanne van Veer. She is a Dutch author in the Netherlands, which I think is very cool. This book, I believe, takes place also in the Netherlands. How do I want to explain this book? Let me set you a scene, a little pretty picture of this book. This is a gothic horror following Roos, and Roos is, you know, she sees ghosts. I'll just lay it out for you. She sees ghosties, and she has a best pal ghost named Ruth. Yes, I know their names are similar. It took me a while to catch the hang, but there's Roos and there's Ruth, and they're besties. So Ruth is Roos' spirit companion. At the start of the book, we are following Ruth, who is living with her adoptive mother, you know, hardships, orphan, the whole shebang. And her mom is a kind of con artist, but not like fully a con artist, but they basically have people come in and pay them so that they can do a seance, and Ruth lets Ruth basically possess her, and they like put on a show, talk about how people's ghosts come to visit them, and you know, they get paid. That's how they make their money. And they have this one girl, Agnes, come in, and Agnes is like, I would love to see my dead husband. This would be great for me. Let's do it. And she notices something a little bit suspicious about Ruth. And so what does she decide to do? She buys her. Just full pays for Ruth to come and live with her. Why? Because she also sees ghosts, and she has a ghost companion named Peter, potentially named after the character from Screw Tape Letters, which I haven't read, but yeah, fun times. And so, you know, it just becomes two gal pals living in this manor, this gothic manor, together with their ghost spirit companions. May or may not have a little bit of romance, may not be a little bit sapphic. It's precious. The parts that I really like about the story is, whilst we are being like told this story in a way, like we are privy to what's going on and it's following the proper timeline, we are getting snippets of the interview. We'll call it an interview. It's not quite that, but Ruth is talking to Dr. Montague, who is a psychiatrist, to see if she's fit to stand trial for murder. What? What? I really liked the interview portions, because it really, like, whenever the story would feel a little bit more daunting, as we're just seeing like their day-by-day life before like as we're ramping up to what's to come, I really liked having the interview snippets to be like, so why were you thinking this? Why did you do these things? What was going through your brain at this time? And Ruth being like, can I just tell you the story? Like, stop asking me questions. I'll get to it. Let me just talk. And it really made it more engaging and gripping for me to be able to have those interspersed throughout, but not messing up any timeline. It flowed really well. I really liked the narrator. I think she did a really good job. My biggest complaint, and it's not really a complaint at all, it was just like me, my expectations, where I've been at, but in my headspace I was like ready for a cool twist, something crazy, but it's a gothic horror. Like, that's not how the book is going to go. That's not how they lay out. That's not the expectation. There's no big surprising twist. Honestly, the story really goes exactly how you would think, and it's very much like laid out, but I liked it for that. Like, I really enjoyed where it went, even if I was expecting a lot of it, and like I had an idea of what was to come and like what it meant, and there's some foreshadowing to help you through it as well. So it's not like anything shocking. It's very much just a literary horror with some cool ghosts who, you know, may or may not be willing to do anything to save Ruth and protect Ruth and their friendship. Ruth is quite the character. I will say, though, in the audiobook, she sounds kind of like a child in a way, like a young spirit ghost, which reminds me of The Midnight Bargain, I believe, by C.L. Polk. The audiobook for that was really ruined for me because I hated the narrator's voice for the little sprite. So it kind of gave me like war flashbacks for that. But besides that, I really enjoyed the narrator and the audiobook. I really enjoyed the story. I just thought it was very well done. I was very like intrigued and interested the whole time. It really gives like the gothic vibes. Nothing like too insane. Like, the atmosphere is not like the biggest portion, but I liked it a lot that it kept me going, you know? I really liked this. I think I'm gonna land on a 4-star for this. I had a really good time. It was like not too long there. So I put this on hold with a library that's out of state that I pay for, and there was 33 people waiting for it, and it was due tomorrow at 2 p.m. and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry that I took this long. I didn't realize people were so excited, but it makes sense because it's on the best of the years so far list, so it makes sense. But yeah, 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. I highly recommend it. I think this can have a very wide audience to enjoy it. I don't think the content is too heavy at any points. I think that was just like interesting and well done and gripping, and the writing was really good. This is definitely an author I will be keeping my eye on in the future, because I think this was their debut, and if it was, incredible, magnifique. So yes, that was my darling dreadful thing. Oh, and when the, you know, when like the title is said in the book, like it happens, oh, it feels good. It feels so good when that happens. I'm like, ah. So yes, that's my quick little review for a rather good horror. I do recommend. Oh no, I have reading updates. Oh my god. I am exactly like a third, maybe not exactly, but I'm like a third into Annie-bot. I don't know how to feel. I've been sitting on this one. I'm 33% as of yesterday. I listened to it like to the tail end of work because my plan was to come home and then like chat with you and update you. But I just needed to sit and think about how I was going to talk about this book, you know? So Annie-bot is following a robot. That's our main girl. And her name is Annie. She's been named Annie. And she is a cuddlebot. She's a cuddlebot for this guy named Doug. They are also girlfriend and boyfriend. And she was once a cleaning robot, but he like switched her to be a cuddlebot instead. And so like that's been her main focus. She's set at a level 4, which means like she's always eager and ready to please. This is so weird to try and explain and talk about. And you get a lot of sex scenes, but not in like a way that's like trying to arouse you, not like smut in a fantasy story. Like, it's a very different type of vibe, and it's very uncomfortable, and I don't like it, but also that's the point. I think that's the point. This is a sci-fi, and so far where I've gotten to is Annie has a secret from Doug now, things that had happened, which were so uncomfy. Even though I understand that Annie is a robot, like, I can still feel very compassionate towards this being, because she's quite sentient. She is able to make her own decisions. She's got emotional intelligence. and like critical thinking skills. Like she's very aware, she's able to say no and make her own decisions and choices, but still like is a robot and like a different kind of sentient than like a human brain, obviously. Has like the more analytical side of things, while still like not understanding the full human experience because she's not human. But like, oh, it's still so hard seeing her in the positions that she is put into. So yeah, but she's also incredibly developed. Like she is really progressed from a lot of the cuddlebots that they have seen. So like Doug's training her to be very good. She's starting to get interested in programming. She's got some secrets, some things that she's not supposed to be doing. She goes and gets tune-ups and stuff and like talks to the staff that work there. And it's just really an interesting dynamic to think about. And I'm sure that this book is going to go even deeper than what like it's already talked about and like it's already done. And I'm stressed about it. Like it's very stressful for me. I think the writing is really good. This is also a debut, I'm pretty sure. And I really like the writing. Even though it's in third person, I'm able to very easily connect and feel with Annie and feel for Annie and be really there and present in the moment. I'm really enjoying this, even though I'm so uncomfortable. Every time something happens, I'm like, I don't like this isn't, no. But it's a very strange concept. I've gotten to the part where like Doug has gotten another cleaning robot because of some things that had happened, and just like seeing this robot go through like normal jealousy stage with her like romantic partner Doug is just, it's very fascinating. It's very interesting. Now the like people who tuned and made the cuddlebot Annie, they want to kind of study her or like have articles about her and Doug, but Doug is a very private guy who doesn't really want to publicly talk about how him and Annie are together and like doing, because you know there's something a little suspicious about Annie. But yeah, they want to like replicate another version of Annie basically, because Annie has become so developed and is like so fine-tuned at like seeing Doug's discomfort levels and trying to fix it and like just truly just trying to do her best, but like in a very fascinating and like holy cow you are a rock star kind of way. So they're really fascinated with Annie and they want to know more and create more like her, and it's very interesting and I'm really liking it, even if I hate it all at the same time. But I know that Allie from Allie Davis read this at the beginning of the year, I want to say, and like really enjoyed it, and so it was kind of always on my radar. But it wasn't until this video where I was like, oh, it's really popular, so I guess I'll read it for my sci-fi. I still think that I want to pick up Beautyland because Allie also really enjoyed that, and they're kind of in the same... I don't think they're comparable at all. But when I think of Allie and like the books that she likes, they're all like kind of in the same subgenre of books that I can't explain. But I think I still might pick up Beautyland at some point. But yeah, I'm gonna keep listening to Annibot. Oh my goodness, it is wild. It is so wild. I'm really liking it though, but I don't want to like it because I'm uncomfortable. Okay, bye. Good morning. Let's talk about Annibot. I have a lot of complex feelings with Annibot, and I'm not really sure how I want to talk about it, or I'm still in the processing phase. I think that's primarily what it is. I finished it yesterday at work, and then I switched to very happy, very funny Dimension 20 content to brighten my feelings so I wouldn't cry at work. I think Annibot is very good, and for a debut is written very well. I think it makes sense for being in like the best of the years competition. It's not so hardcore sci-fi that I think it will turn off most readers. Like, it reads a lot more literary, but you just have the perspective of robots and the influence of robots and tech and AI, so it has sci-fi dystopian elements while still being very easily approachable and enjoyable. But it is going to make you uncomfortable because she is a cuddlebot and her main purpose for existing is to make sure Doug, her boyfriend and owner, is pleased. and dissatisfying him harms her. And it's a very beautiful look and exploration of humanity and emotional relationships, and not emotional and emotionally abusive relationships, toxic relationships, and just seeing how, humanity works. And I think that Annie was an incredible perspective to follow, and character to be with. I'm giving this, I think, 4 stars. I'm not going to go into spoilers because I want people to read this and experience it themselves. But if you've read it, you know how it ends. And it is a good ending. It is well done. It's well thought out. I think it's going to make people who read the book very happy. But I had really complex feelings that I really had to sit down and think about and stir through, which made me more emotional. And I like the ending. I'm happy for how, for what happened and how everything came to be by the end. I think it made sense for the narrative, sort of, for the most part. And overall, it was good. But I really struggled with the decisions that were also made. And so I really had to come to myself and go, Sam, why do you feel this way? Why did you feel like that shouldn't have happened? What's up with that? So that was hard for me. I'm gonna be so honest. And I don't want to say it tainted the reading experience. I just don't think that most readers are gonna get that feeling and experience out of it, because that has to do more so my baggage when it comes to people. But yeah, it was very, very good. Very complex, but it's on the shorter side. It's not complex sci-fi. I think a lot of people will really enjoy this. It totally makes sense why this is on the best of the year list. It's not super sci-fi, so compared to sci-fi fantasy that's going to be hardcore in the genre, I think it's going to be very interesting seeing how it plays out by the end of the year, based off Annie Bot, which can have a lot of non-sci-fi readers enjoy it and get a lot out of it, because it's not the same type of sci-fi as, say, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know a sci-fi that's come out this year, but you get the picture. It's gonna be a very different type of competition this year, so I'm gonna be intrigued to see how that plays out. So obviously, take care of yourself going into it. Know some of the topics that are going to be discussed with emotional abuse and toxic relationships. I don't want to give stuff away because I feel a lot of the topics that are important to talk about are also spoilers. So just, yeah, if you're worried about it for any reason, feel free to look into it, or yeah. Whew. But yeah, I'm gonna read Beautyland at some point this year, because that one I also am interested in, and I think could probably be equally highly rated. But yeah, oh no. But now I'm going to pick up my next read, which is going to be First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. Ow. So this will be one of the books that I read today. So yeah, that's the big plan. Like I had already mentioned, I have watched a lot of Dimension 20 lately, so reading has really been taking a back burner, because all I want to do is watch Fantasy High Junior Year on Dropout TV, because it's so funny and it makes me so happy, and this is why I have to pace myself with things that I enjoy. So yeah, today we're gonna try and read as much as we can, but yeah, anyway, you don't care. Goodbye. I hope you like this angle. I genuinely just want you to see my Dark Academia shelves, because they're almost never in my videos, just because they're tucked away and the lighting isn't as good, but I want you to see them because I like them. They're very pretty to me. Anywho, speaking of Dark Academia, I read my Dark Academia pick / what was this, YA? I finished Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I read this at work. I listened to the audiobook, and it's not bad. It's just so long. Why is this so long? So in this, we're following, I don't know how you pronounce her name. It looks like Sade, it's S-A-D-E, but it didn't sound like they were saying Sade or Sadie in the audiobook, so I'm not sure what her real name is. For the speaking of her right now, I will probably butcher it, but I'll call her Sadie for now. This story kicks off not that quick, but we soon discover that in this we're following Sade, who is going to school for the first time. She's been homeschooled her whole life, and she is going to a boarding school for the first time ever. And she's also heavily traumatized by her family. And so she's going to boarding school for the first time, and it's not really what she was expecting it to be. There's definitely like cliques, but like also kind of looks like the movies. And literally night one, her first night at this brand new boarding school, after she's like met people and is like getting acquainted and familiar with the school and people going, her roommate Elizabeth disappears. First night, completely vanishes. And then after Elizabeth's disappearance, all eyes turn to Sadie because she's her roommate. She's probably the last person to see her, and it's a little suspicious, you know? Somebody goes missing literally your first day, big yikes. And so Sadie kind of takes it upon herself to start investigating and see like what's going on. She is making friends with Elizabeth's best friend, Basil. Incredible. And she's also caught the attention of the Holy Trinity, which is a group of girls, and the main girl, you already know what's up. The main girl being Persephone. I don't know what it is about the names in books that I've been reading lately, but Persephone has been a reoccurrence the last 2 months. She's becoming close to Persephone and Basil, and they're trying to figure out what happened, what's going on. Now, my biggest gripe with this story is it's simply way too long. This is a YA thriller mystery, and it's so stinking long. We are spending so much time day to day with the characters. While not a lot of progression is happening, it is very character driven, character focused, which if that's what you're looking for, I think this will be great for you. I don't love a character driven story most of the time, and I especially don't want a character driven thriller. I get bored easily. I like the middle chunk, I was just like, please, I want to move on. Now, I did enjoy the characters. Even though I don't love a character study per se, I did like these characters. They felt very proper to their age and were realistic and honest to how they would act in the situations. I liked seeing them build these relationships with one another and like how it all came to be. I really appreciated them as like a core cast of characters. But when I remembered that I was reading a book with a mystery and like a girl disappearing, I would get really frustrated that like this is what the story was. I was like, wait, what happened to Elizabeth? Can we go back to Elizabeth? Why aren't we like focusing on that? What is going on? I don't think this needed to be 17 hours for an audiobook. That's just too much. That's too much. No, I'm sorry. I haven't read that one, Ace of Spades, which is her debut first book that she came out with, and it was a hit. Everybody seemed to love it. That's great. I will read it eventually. Obviously, I own it. I would really like to. Having a successful book does not mean we need this big of a book. I'm sorry. They don't need to be this long. Now, the biggest thing with this book is I did not check the content warnings before going in. I didn't check like what this book was properly going to be about. I just knew that like Elizabeth disappeared. The synopsis gave away what it gives away, which I don't know if you should really read the synopsis going in, but this heavily follows rape culture and has sexual assault and has just a lot, especially the second half is when it really talks about those discussions, and I think it's very important, but it's also, you know, take care of yourself. Like, if it's not something that you can handle in your book, don't force it. Just move on to something else. There's plenty of books. I even struggled at times listening to this book. I was like, I understand that I'm not supposed to feel comfortable, but like I have my own triggers and so on. And so there was definitely moments where I was like, ooh, I'm gonna take a little break. There's a lot to handle. There's a lot to listen to, and that's okay. But I just want you to know going into it that that is the main focus of the story. It's mainly going to discuss and talk about rape culture, and especially how that looks in a school. So take care of yourself. Know that that is heavily what this is going to be about. And yeah, that's my thing. Is like, it's very important. I think young readers will be able to like digest this and learn quite a lot. But yeah, just be aware of the content. I wish that the action and plot were able to carry a bit further than the characters, because I was bored at times. The ending was a bit quicker paced, but it still felt kind of slow and just kind of, you know, so. But it is also sapphic, which I do love and appreciate. So, you know, yeah, that's my review. I do recommend this if it sounds interesting to you, but it's definitely not a book that I would widely recommend or even say that it was like that fantastic. Like, it's a 3.5 stars. Like, it wasn't for me, and that's okay. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I was really hoping to love this book because this author is loved and their first book was such a success and hit that I was like, oh, this is obviously going to be like an A+, nailed it. And it just wasn't quite that, but that's okay. But yeah, that was Where Sleeping Girls Lie. So. Hi, I'm procrastinating so hard. I have to do my makeup to film a video so that I can edit and get it uploaded for tomorrow, and I'm procrastinating it. So, drinking an energy drink in a wine glass, because that's the biggest glasses we have. Adulting is really fun and fresh. So, speaking of adulting, I read a nonfiction, which isn't typically the genre that I reach for. Not that I dislike nonfiction, I don't know. They're very hit or miss for me. There can be some that I really enjoy, but for the most part, I'm not going to gravitate towards a lot of them. If I do, it's like a memoir because I'm interested in the person, typically. It's also like my special interests and topics aren't going to really be in a nonfiction that like I'm excited about, you know? I hope that makes sense. But for this video, I ended up reading The Age of Magical Overthinking by Amanda Montell. This is her third book, I believe. Cultish was like a huge success, big hit. I haven't read that one yet. It is high on the nonfiction priority list of like what I do actually want to read. But this one obviously was published this year, so has a little bit more hype around it. And I don't know how to review nonfictions, to be honest. But I can tell you that it has a mix of like her personal experience in life and then her correlating those experiences to the subject of like magical overthinking, manifestation, Instagram influencers, and like the shift that has on primarily focusing on female, like young adults, teenagers mentality. And although I think this is not a badly written book or not interesting or like well researched, she citates a lot of the studies and essays that she has read for it and compiles a lot of thoughts. I don't think it's bad. I just don't feel like I learned anything new, but that's likely coming from just who I personally am as a person, how I view Instagram, and like I don't look at analytics. I don't follow people that make me super envious or jealous. I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram or social media. Like I spend a lot of time on YouTube, but I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram specifically. I don't have my TikTok. I'm not logged into it. Forgot the password. I'm not trying to think about it because I know myself and like the mentality that I can easily get into. Tumblr was my favorite social media growing up, and oh boy was it so bad for me and my mental health. Like I have so much trauma, and a lot of that really can be said and stems from and comes from the fact that like I was so chronically online at that time and at such like an influential age and like shifting mindsets all the time. Like wasn't good for me, and I as an adult now can reflect on that and be like, yikes. And so I'm very cautious and careful about like who I follow and what I believe. I don't find myself like influenced because some Instagram guru is so rich and popular and famous and like her life's like so picture perfect that like I need it too, so I'm gonna go buy her course and I'm gonna manifest that for myself. Like I just don't have that mentality in me, and so I didn't find this book to be as informative and helpful for me personally. But I can see where a lot of people, especially a lot of young adult women, can really get a lot out of this and enjoy it. So I do recommend it. If it's something that sounds interesting to you, if you're interested in the author Amanda Montell at all, like, she talks a lot about her personal life in it. So I think, again, if that's something you're interested in, if you like her after Cultish and you kind of like follow her on Instagram or whatever and like got into her, she might be someone you're interested in. She talks a lot about a past relationship that she was in that I could understand and like relate to a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of my review. I don't really have a lot to say. I think I rated it like 3.5. I think I gave it a 4 on Goodreads because, again, like, it's good. It's just not good for me. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. It's one of those things, like, reviewing nonfiction is very difficult because it's a lot of like, I don't want to judge somebody's lived experience that they're writing about because that feels weird. So you're often like looking at the writing itself and the impact that it has on you. And then it's like, okay, but I still feel like I'm rating someone's experience even if like the impact didn't work for me. It's just, I don't know. It's a sticky little area that I don't know how to handle. But yeah, 4 stars on Goodreads. That was my little nonfiction. I have a couple left. Hello, pals. I don't know how to talk about this book. So I ended up reading Anita de Monte Laughs Last by this author. So I'm gonna start this by saying, if you're interested in this story, you has to absolutely happen that you do research on Anna Mendieta. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Who is a real person, who this story is really about, takes her real life tragedy, her real life story, and fictionalizes it. Which is fine, that happens, but this author apparently did not mention Anna at all in the book when it was first published. No dedication, no acknowledgements, nothing. Never said the name. And also did not talk to the family before writing this book. And apparently, per this article, the family was not pleased with how Anna was written, the characteristics given, and so on and so forth. So ethically, morally, I don't know how to talk about this story. I will not be rating it for you because I feel a little icky doing that, but I will talk a little bit about the story. But I do recommend that you do research on this real life person and what actually happened to her, her death, her art, whatever. If you're interested in reading this fictionalized version of her life, that's fine, but do yourself the service of like knowing the history, knowing the truth behind it, not taking this fictionalized version as the truth. The audiobook that I listened to does have a dedication at the very beginning where it was like, this is in memory of Anna, which I don't personally feel like was enough. Personally, feel like we could have done more. But yeah, future books have a dedication to her, but initially did not. Makes me feel a little icky. I don't know. What the story is about is following Anita in a past timeline, like 10 years prior. 10 years ago, Anita and her husband, Jack Martin, were fighting about art and their relationship and, you know, like resentment and jealousy and all these high emotions. And Anita ends up falling out of a window, high up, and she does not make it. We know in Anita's perspective that Jack pushed her, but the court of opinions from the people, Jack is not at fault, and there's no proof that he did anything. This has a very big magical realism feel to it because we are seeing Anita after her death. I don't know what's the spoiler, I don't want to spoil too much, but we're also following at the same time Raquel, who is like 10 years later. She's doing a big paper on Jack Martin for her art. Don't bite my camera. no. So she's writing a paper on Jack Martin, who is also like this very big man. He's also this very big artist, and she was never taught what happened to Anita. My biggest complaint is that, and maybe, I'm sorry if this is a spoiler for you, but Raquel does not know about Anita until 70% into the book. That is the whole purpose of the book, is like seeing the similarities between these two women and like their situations dating white men that are affluent, high up in the art world or whatever, and like seeing the similarities and her like learning about Anita and it being like this big discovery and like giving Anita, like making sure Anita's not forgotten because she has been and she shouldn't be forgotten, which Anna hasn't been forgotten, so it feels weird. And so I just have like a lot of complex feelings. I will say that the audiobook is very well done. There's 3 narrators and I think they do a good job. I think that the writing is good. I think that the story is entertaining, if not a little long and drawn out. Again, Raquel should know so much sooner what the story is about, and like it should get there so much sooner than it does. A lot of it is just boring life stuff, which is fine, you know, that's sometimes how stories be. But I just don't know how I feel about it, so I don't want to rate it. I don't want to like say don't read it. Like, if you want to do what you want to do, go for it. I just hope that you go into it knowing what you're getting and like what's going on around this, like the controversies, whatever you want to call it, because I do think it's important and I do think that it needs to be talked about. The reason that I found out about it was actually because when I went on to Goodreads to mark it as like currently reading, I, for whatever reason, had the like, let's see who's read it, like let's go down to the reviews, and the first review was like a 1-star saying like, this isn't fair to this real life person, and I was like, oh, what's that about? And then I researched that whole person, I spent like an hour just learning about them and like looking at some of their art, which, you know, to each their own. Some of it made me a little uncomfy, but like, that's fine, you know, it is what it is. But I learned about this real person, Anna, I'm so sorry, I don't know, but I researched and learned about her prior to reading the book because that felt like something I had to do. So I just want you to also have that knowledge going into this and like knowing that that's what this is about, because I don't think that it was advertised well enough or talked about and discussed as it should have been. So now you have this knowledge. Congratulations, you're caught up on the news. I wouldn't say like don't read it. It just really, it will come down to like your ethics, where you land on the situation, if you're more intrigued because of what I said or whatever. I just hope that like you make whatever informed decision you feel is best for you. So that's my review. I think tonight I will be reading another book, but I don't know, I keep pushing my reads off. This one kind of almost put me on a slump, I'm gonna be so real with you. So good morning. Super quick, I just got to work, but I want to talk really quickly about First Lie Wins, because I've started it and I haven't been able to chat with you guys about it yet, and I would love to do that before my coworkers see me talking to a camera. First Lie Wins is following Evie, and I love that in the first 80 pages we've basically gotten the synopsis. Like, we understand so much so far, but like in the right amount and like a good, intriguing type of way. So basically we have Evie, who is dating Ryan, and their relationship is growing, it's getting stronger, they're taking it to the next step, getting a little more serious. She's moving in, she's meeting the friends, it's getting real, and we're seeing Evie kind of make her way into his life more. And at first it comes off so sweet and sincere, but she gives you little hints that you're like, are you okay, girl? Like, why are you making those choices? Like, why would you do that? And slowly it starts to unravel within the first 80 pages that Evie is not who she says she is, and that Evie might be here for a job. And I'm like, what does that mean? She had a pretty tough backstory, and we've still only seen like snippets of that so far, but you kind of get the big gist of what's going on with her, and that led her into a specific line of work that she's now in. And Ryan is the next either target or client. I'm not really sure yet, but you know, she just feels something for Ryan. It is a little serious, and I'm just really intrigued with what's going on. I would love to know where we're headed next, what's going to happen, but not so intrigued that I've like picked the book back up. I have been reading physically along with the audiobook, and I think I'm just going to switch to the audiobook today while I'm at the office and try and like get through it, because as much as I'm enjoying the writing, I'm loving the narrator's soft little southern accent. I like different parts of it. I think it's set in like Louisiana. I'm liking a lot of parts of it, but as like a whole, it's not getting me out of my reading slump, I should say. So I'm gonna listen to it today at the office, and I will let you know how I feel and think about it later. Hi, I'm long time no chat. Oh my god, I've missed you guys. How are you? I'm so sorry I've abandoned you. I've been in a terrible reading slump, and I do think this video might be the cause. Whoops. But I finished a book. I've kind of technically finished two. Let's talk about First Light Wins. Although in a slump, incredible book. I think if I wasn't in a slump, I might have enjoyed this a little bit more, you know? But truly, so good. It's not so much a thriller as it is a mystery, but it's still thrilling towards the end, especially. I loved these characters, though, like, deeply. Like, they were some of my favorite characters to have read in a while. I was so interested and engaged with everything that was happening, like, the whole time. I was just like, yes, give me more. I want this. And by the time, like, things start coming together and making sense, I was like, this writer, Ashley Elston, genius. She's so smart. The way that she just laid everything out was so well done. And I was so invested. I was just like, yes, this is how you write a good book. Like, this is a good mystery. The plot was so interesting. The characters were fantastic. I really had a great time. I gave it 4 stars. Feels more like a 4.5. But I was slumping, so, like, who knows how to rate a book? Not me. But I really do recommend this. This is, like, probably one of the best, like, thriller mysteries that I've read this year. A lot of them have been duds. This one was really good, and I do recommend it. So, that was First Light Wins. I had a lot of fun with this. I don't know what I last said. I think I just explained the plot of, like, girl with secrets dates guy with secrets. But yeah, it's really good. It's very well done. The other book that I've basically finished, I don't want to talk about it. So, The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. You're probably familiar. This was the technically third. I've read Ninth House. I've not read her young adult, but her and me don't seem to be getting along super well. This is not a bad book. I wouldn't say don't read it. If you don't jive with Leigh Bardugo, it might not be incredible for you, but everyone that I follow on Goodreads, all of my friends, have given this like 4 and 5 stars. I think it's like a solid 3 for me. This is following a Jewish girl during the Spanish Inquisition, and she becomes a maid for this not wealthy family, but trying to pretend that they're wealthy. But our main girl, whose name I don't fucking know. I don't know anyone's name. She has some magic, which, you know, isn't super unfamiliar nor familiar. And the family that she's working for enters her into these, like, trial games, but they're deadly and, like, people are dying, very, like, Thrones of Glass. I'm so sorry that I just compared this to Thrones of Glass. That was unhinged of me. I do apologize, Leigh Bardugo. I'm sorry. Sorry. Ooh, I had an unhinged thought. I won't say that on the internet. So sorry. Anyway, this is a good book. I think that the writing is very good. I'm not super into historicals, but I think that it does it well. I liked the fantasy touches. It's not, like, too much. I did really like the romance. I'm talking to you like I finished this. I have 34 minutes left of this book. I'm 89% into this book. I've been 89% into this book for about a week and a half. So, a testament to the reading slump / this book. It's just not for me. It wasn't written for me. I'm not the Leigh Bardugo, Shadow Daddy stan, and that's okay. Not everyone is going to be. I think that the romance is well done. I really enjoy it. I like the characters together. I think that the conversations around the three women. Is her name Madalena? Oh my god. Wait. It doesn't say in the synopsis, so I don't know, but I think her name's like Madalena or something. I could be totally making that up though. But the three women that are prominent, which was Lucia, her family, her aunt specifically, and then the lady that's like head of house, all of them have like very interesting and different dynamics that bounce off each other and balance the story well. And I found them interesting, but I just didn't find the story interesting enough. It's slow. It kind of drags. I don't know what everyone's like so obsessed with, and I'm sorry. I think he's like a fine character, but I feel like I don't know him that well. I don't feel like I know anyone that well. Like, I don't relate to people very well. I just, I'm just kind of like meh on this, which is kind of a shame. I'm excited to read Leigh Bardugo's young adult, the Shadow and Bone series, and like the Six of Crows duology. I think I'll like those a lot more than I would like her adult. Her adult's just not doing it for me, and that's really sad for me. So, womp womp. I'll eventually finish the 34 minutes, and if something crazy happens, I'll of course let you know, but I do think that my rating will stand out of 3. I don't think I have a whole lot more to say on it. It's just fine, which is kind of a bummer. Now, I wish that this was the end of said video. I wish I could say, like, I done it, but I haven't done it. Hello. Oh, I'm so tired. Sorry for the appearance. I was fully like planning about. I was fully planning to like put on makeup and do my hair and look all cute, but took a shower and I'm only 100 pages into this, and this is nearly 700 pages. So we're going to be here for a while. But I reached the 100-page mark, so I figured now would be a good time to pop in and tell you a little bit about When the Moon Hatched, one of the 4 best romanticises of the year. Now, I will say I am aware of a lot of discourse around this. A lot of my friends and trusted booktubers, not fans, didn't like this. So I'm hesitant to see where I end up landing. I know that my friend Sash really likes this. Currently, my biggest issue is I don't know the point. Doesn't need to be this long? Probably not. 100 pages in, I've seen an assassination from our main character, Rave, who is an assassin, and that's kind of like the big shtick that I know about her. And then I just saw my first chapter from this man, Khan, and I don't know what his whole thing is, but I think he's related to royalty, so probably important, but I don't know. I know that they've had like their little meet cute. They're aware of each other, but they haven't really like had many scenes together. They're not really like a part of this narrative yet. So I'm not sure what's going on with him. But basically, Rave is an assassin. She is working for this group, taking jobs and commands from people above her, and doesn't have family, friends, but also like totally has family and friends, like lots of people that she cares for, but she tries to have that like tough exterior of we're not friends, we don't show that we care for each other, but like the intent is there, but we don't acknowledge it, and we don't want to acknowledge it because then things get shattered and change, and typical Assassin's Guild type of situations. Anywho, I don't know what this book is about. I haven't actually read the back or anything. I know there's dragons. There's a lot of influence of like the gods, lots of new verbiage, which is probably my biggest complaint, and why I can understand a lot of people having issues with this story is because it's high fantasy in the way that the author has put the work in for the world building, which as somebody who is currently drafting a fantasy high fantasy novel. Like, I fully understand where the author's coming from of like having this very massive world in her mind and complex, and she knows it very well. But she's writing it in a way as if we also know this world really well, and I don't. There is a glossary in the front, there's a family tree in the back, there's maps, there's like a lot to help the reader, but it still doesn't fill in the blanks for everything. Like, not everything makes sense with the glossary. There's still a lot of blanks that I'm just confused about, and it's not explained in a way that like makes the writing flow. There's a lot of pieces where I'm just like, I don't know what that means, and I just don't think I'm gonna figure it out. And then there's other bits where it's like, okay, I'm picking up on the context of what's happening and what's going on. The magic world is complex. This is truly like a D&D campaign so far. It feels very much like a D&D world where there's just a lot of homebrew mishmash of stuff, lots of different magics, and people have different abilities, and there's the gods, and like it's making sense to me. It's fueling that side of my like little brain. Like, it's making me happy. I'm enjoying it. But I do wish that I was clued into more of the world, because I feel dumb when I'm like, what do these made up words mean? What am I supposed to be getting from this? What am I supposed to understand? But I don't hate the characters. The narrators have that issue of like, he speaks slower where she speaks so much faster. So the bouncing back and forth might get a little bit confusing just speed-wise with the audiobook, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm not hating this. Does this need to be 700 pages? Absolutely not. I've barely started. I'm sure if I like fall in love with the characters, maybe I won't mind so much, but as of like right now, 100 pages in, it's like very little has happened. We have set up that a bounty hunter is arriving, and it's like Rave's kind of nemesis in a way. Like, she's like, I'm gonna kill him, and they're like, orders are no, and that's all I know. That's literally all I know. So I'm gonna keep reading. I will check in with you guys probably halfway mark. I'm not gonna do like 100-page check-ins, but I just wanted to like get this started with you, let you know where I'm at, what I'm thinking so far. Yeah, hopefully it's good. The writing isn't bad. The writing isn't as bad as people made me think it was going to be. I didn't know what to expect when people said the writing was bad. I think the writing is just doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you don't have all the like knowledge the author has. But I don't think it's bad writing. Like, I've definitely read much worse from fantasy romance. It's a little bit detailed and a little bit lush, but when half the words don't make any sense to you, it does take a little bit more brain cells to like be tuned into what's being said. But besides that, no complaints so far. I'm excited to see where it goes. It's a beautiful edition. I've taken like little snippets of like the beginning chapters and stuff because I think it's so pretty. The art, like different dragons and stuff, I like it. I'm liking the details. So I'm gonna keep reading. I will check in with you later. The romance might do it for me. There's just something wrong with me where sarcasm is my love language, and they've got the banter. They banter very well off of each other. The sarcasm, it feeds my soul. I don't know what it is. Sorry, it's who I am. I love it. So the rest of the book has just been like, okay. But like them interacting, I like the banter. I like seeing like her more feisty side. She is fun, but I'm having fun. I'm gonna keep reading. Definitely, like, now that it's less whimsical, random, made up words that have no meaning to me, now that we're kind of out of that and it's just been like normal English, I've been following a lot and it's been fun. So great. Good morning, guys. Hello. I did it. I finished this whole thing. I finished it by 1 in the morning. Decided sleep priority. But it is now Sunday, so I'm gonna wrap up this review in this video, and then I will start editing, and then you will see me some point this afternoon. How exciting. Now, I've read almost 700 pages of this in one sitting, and I didn't check in with you halfway like I thought I was going to, and it's mostly because I didn't have anything new to say. I didn't feel like I had anything to add to the conversation beforehand. Like, if you don't like this writing, you're not gonna have a good time because it's chunky and it's just the same writing the entire time. I was able to kind of get over it. Like, once about like 200 or so pages in, I was pretty used to the writing at that point, and like the words that they would just throw at me, and like the world building started to make a little bit more sense, even though I'm still very confused on many of the things. Like, I don't think the world building was great, but I think the character chemistry, not even just between the two leads, but like every character in the story, I really loved all of their relationships with each other and how they interacted, and like the dynamics with everybody I thought was like really good, and that just like really worked for me. As somebody who is in the process of year-long process, it's been a very long process, but as somebody who's been drafting a high fantasy book, this was like a really big inspiration of like things I do and don't want to do. Like, I loved when like you're reading and you get like a picture of a dagger with like initials on it. Like, I thought that was so cool and fun. Like, I'm a visual person. I love seeing things, and so it's very cool seeing like the tavern logo or the dagger with the initial and things like that, and just like it definitely made the experience physically reading along much better for me that way. Like, it was just a little treat for me. But does this need to be this long? No. What is the plot? I couldn't properly tell you without spoiling things. Our main girl Brave has one goal in mind. Like, the first 200 pages, like 3 big things kind of happen, and because of those events, that takes her through the story, but like things kind of just happen to her. She has one little objective, she has one goal, and it's revenge. And she's just kind of like strung along for like the weirdest plot. Like, she has no agency, things just happen to her. That's just her, like, this is your life now, babes, like, get used to it. And so that I thought was like interesting, and I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Like, at the beginning I was like, nothing's happened, like so much has happened, but like nothing has happened. But you know, I enjoyed it, and I really like the chapters. I think chapter 19 was one of my favorites with the other. I do like that she throws us different perspectives when necessary, but also just like them together. I understand some people don't like, I don't quite want to call this fated mates because it's not exactly that, but it's kind of similar. So if people don't like that trope, you might not find this as engaging or as good, but I really liked how it played out, even though, I don't know, I think I'm intrigued. There's a big thing that happened that I caught on to 600 pages in, and I said, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that, and so I'm giving it 4 stars because of that one thing, which is a rather big thing. But it's not something that I enjoy. Like, if my character says she doesn't want something and has no desire for something, and then that thing happens, don't love it. Not my favorite, but you know, is what it is. Yeah, overall, very inspiring for me personally. I think this is just like the right book that I needed to have more guidance on my own writing journey. Happy that I finally read it anyway, because so many people don't like this, and I'm glad that I had a good time. Is it because I've been in a reading slump and my last book was awful? Maybe. That could very well also play a big role. I have not had many good books lately, especially fantasy, and I thought I wasn't in a fantasy mood, but once I got into this, I was like, oh no, I do want fantasy. But it was very hard to shut my brain off. I will say, when you're working on a story, and you've got like your own world, your own characters, it's very hard to jump into somebody else's world that's so fleshed out, because I didn't know everything, but I know everything about my world. So, you know, very informative for my journey. But oh my god, it took me so long to just like shut my brain off and stop thinking about my own characters and my own world for a little while. But once I got into it, I had fun. So that concludes the video. 2 months and a bad reading slump later, we've done it. I know that I'm so late to the game that like we're this close to just announcing the best of the books for the year, which is crazy. I don't even know if I have a top 10 yet. So that will be something. I'm so tired, so sorry. I'm gonna start editing this though, so you guys can finally see this very long video. I hope I trim it down. We'll see. Without this book's footage, we were at 1 hour and 19 minutes unedited, so I'll be here for a while, but it'll be fine. It'll be fun. I'm so happy that I'm finally getting this video out. I've been working on this for so long that it's like sapped all of my creative energy. I feel like I've done nothing. But I won't make this a chit-chatty video because it's already long enough. But I do miss talking to you guys, and like I haven't done just like a normal regular vlog in so long that I feel like you guys don't know what's going on in my life, and I have updates and I want to chit-chat. So I might do something like that soon. But alas, I'm gonna go. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Have you read any of these? Have you read the other books on this list? I'm gonna be intrigued to see where everything lands at the end of the year. Insert Goodreads is not everything conversation here. I don't have the spoons right now for it, but yes, anyways, I'm gonna go. Thank you. Bye. Love ya.